everyone, welcome back to PAS Talks podcast. We're kicking off with season 2 of unfiltered, unedited conversations among co-livers here at PAS Rural Coliving. I'm Emilia and I'm here today with Tomás. Hi Tomás, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you Emilia. Very happy to be here sharing in the rural area of Cantabria.
Yes.
Beautiful.
You've been here before, right?
I've been here last year for the Social Summit. That is an event organized by the Social Circle family and Papaya Association and Ubuntu Association as well. And it has been beautiful. And I decided to come back this year also for another event that was happening in this area. Imagining.
And which one was the other event?
It was called Giftival. That it was an event based in generosity economy, which happens to be with some associations that are partnering for that purpose, and that gathered around 70 beautiful souls in this rural area that we all come from different places. I came from Switzerland for this event specifically. Some drove 6 hours from Barcelona, some came from Madrid, some came from Bilbao. So from different places of this area, we gathered together for 3 days, and it was a beautiful experience.
Yes, indeed. I was here as well. Came almost directly from Colombia, slightly jet-lagged. It was okay, you're back, and now 60 people here to connect with. But it was really nice. I really liked the event. What was your highlight of the event?
Well, there were many highlights. It was those kind of events when you really are able to connect and you have the time for enjoying beautiful talks and to getting to know people and to be more relaxed in this understanding of each other and how you can nurture from each other, learn from each other, and support each other somehow. But my favorite event or moment during the Giftival was when we planted the peace pole in Casa Ubuntu. So there's a project that is called the Peace Pole Project that you can check it out further in internet. And then we gathered together at Casa Ubuntu, 10 kilometers away from PAS Rural Coliving. And the idea was that we were all going to offer a moment of peace with this statement that was planting this pole of this project that came from China, basically from many kilometers, and is based in traditions that are in different spots in the world that will help for enabling peace in the world. So we did a gathering there. We thought we were in a circle, but we apparently were not in a circle perfectly. We know what we were like, right?
Yes, we were actually forming a heart that you could only see from above. But it was a beautiful moment. They're committing to the peace together and manifesting that, and then actually being in the shape of a heart. It was really special. Yeah, for sure. I was thinking before we dive deeper, maybe you could give a little introduction, who is Tomás? What do you do? Just so that everybody else get to know that too.
All right. My name is Tomás. I'm 39 years old, originally born in Córdoba, Argentina, which is a place that I love, that is deeply in my heart. And I am a psychologist as a professional, also willing to help others in finding their own well-being and mental health. I'm also an entrepreneur, which I think nowadays, for the past 5 years, has been already a little bit of my DNA also as a person, because I think I grew up a lot by becoming an entrepreneur and still being and trying to be an entrepreneur every day. And that's, for me, is a mindset that I think is very internalized in my personality. So when you ask me who I am, I would say I'm a human with a lot of defects, but a lot of love also to give, a lot of qualities that I'm able to bring to others in their own capacities to hold space for others to really be themselves. and to help them build the lives that they want to build for themselves.
And one of them is well-being, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the key elements of myself, I would say, is well-being. So it's one of the main areas which I work from with my project that is called BWell Lab. So basically, it's a laboratory for well-being, and one of the key elements of that project and everything that we do is to promote well-being in humans, to promote well-being in organizations, to enable well-being in society. We're all intertwined and interconnected in different things, in different ways, and we aim that if we promote another human with better skills to take care of themselves, to enable their own well-being through either mental health or either physical health or whatever type of health that person is needing, we're going to make a ripple effect in order for them to make others feel better with themselves too.
So you work mainly with companies, right, and teams instead of individuals, or both of them? How does
both of them. So
Okay.
the project started with aligning for both of them, not only organizations but also individuals. And in the past year, we have driven a little bit towards more companies because it's the way that we can make the effect bigger and amplify our voices. When we work with organizations, we easily access to a team of 50 people, 50 individuals, that creating group activities, then we can have a bigger impact than working only with one person. So we now offer both services. So for example, we have a coaching one-on-one, which enables well-being individually as well, but mostly oriented to organizations that are willing to provide those services for their people.
So what kind of services are they? Like mental well-being, or like, I don't know, exercise, sleep, nutrition, or all these? What does well-being
This
really
brings us
mean
for
to you?
in a big question about what is well-being.
Yeah.
What do you consider for well-being? And I totally see that your explanation also understand how well-being is integral and holistic in different ways, and we can have either mental well-being or either physical, or if it's affected by sleep or by nutrition. So how about if we start with this conversation? What do you think about well-being?
Well, I think it's a sum of these, no? Like, for me, sleep is extremely important. And here in Spain, oh my gosh, it's like people just don't value sleep enough. I'm always like, we need to sleep 8 hours, 8 hours a night. So sleep, definitely, I think it's a big part of well-being. Then, well, exercise, obviously, like doing sports, moving your body and listening to your body as well, like very, very important. Then nutrition, eating well, also part of well-being. But I think maybe even more important than these three would be like emotional well-being, like really being connected with yourself, knowing who you are, and I don't know, taking care of your mental health and not just, you know, distracting yourself and running away from problems, but really like facing them. I think that's also a very, very big part of well-being. You can have all these three other areas well fixed that I just mentioned, but then if the mental well-being is going bad, it's really like impacting everything. So I would say these for me would be the core pillars. And yeah, I think maybe also like a part of well-being must be like the social sphere of things, like who you have here, like the people you surround yourself with, and really having people or a community around you, for sure. I think that's also part of well-being. Well, what else?
Amazing.
Have I mentioned everything?
I totally agree with what you mentioned already, and I think if we can sum it up for the people who are listening or watching this video, maybe I would summarize it in like mental and emotional well-being. That's a sphere that we can provide for ourselves or with sake of others that help us for that. Then what you said about nutrition, sleep, or exercise, that's also physical well-being that is all included there, but each of them it's a different stage. So when we start thinking about that, then we can realize how complex it is as a topic. If we understand well-being as a very complex topic. And then what you already said is relational or social aspect with well-being. That in your case and in my case, we're very community-driven people. And we can see the value of how that communities affect in the positive way our well-being, right? To this belonging, to this sense. But I could add some more that I think that could be also interesting. That I think we discussed this the other day. That it was financial well-being.
Oh yes.
Yeah? So without financial well-being, then it's going to be very difficult for us to feel in harmony with ourselves. We're going to be stressed thinking about if I have the money or not to do this or to do that, if I'm reaching my goals as a professional or not, in an economical way, which we all know that is not the only economics that we can have, the economical one, but it's also important for reaching some goals, right?
Yeah.
And another one would be environmental well-being. So imagine we're in PAS Rural Coliving, and if people can see where we are, we're surrounded by fruits, trees,
Mountains, river.
yeah, the sound of birds chirping.
Yes.
It's very beautiful. But imagine living in a city that is polluted full year round, and then you cannot breathe easily, that you cannot access to clean water that will enable you to have this physical aspect of the well-being that is going to be influenced by the environmental aspects.
Yeah.
And there's also something that we have been talking about these days lately in PAS Rural Coliving that has to do with
Spiritual well-being.
yes,
I knew it.
yes, which is so important for all of us. That's for some people it's very important to pursue religion, to pursue spiritual path, but also it has to do with the purpose of life. Like, what is your belonging here? What is something that really grounds you in terms of a higher level of someone that is guiding your life or that is helping you to find your goals, to reach your goals. What do you think about those areas of well-being?
Yeah, it's so easy to forget, especially the financial one or like the surrounding. But aren't the environmental? I've never ever even thought about. Maybe as being a privileged Finnish person living in a country of 5 million people, I don't need to think about the pollution or any of that.
Yeah.
But I actually have to mention, I was in Colombia a few months and just came back 2 weeks ago. And when I landed in Medellin and the pollution just hit me like this, I was like, I can't breathe. I cannot breathe because it was so polluted. And people were like, this is nothing. And I was like, am I the only one who's really suffering from that? But obviously it's like, I don't know, it depends on what you've, I don't know, gotten used to. If, like in my case, I live here in the countryside or in Finland where we don't really have that much pollution. But yeah, I haven't even like really thought about it. And that actually, it has a major impact on the well-being. Yeah.
Major. People... Some of the people that has been here in the last few days in PAS Rural Coliving for different experiments and social activities that we gather, they have not access to clean water. They have not access to providing a hot shower every day. So something that we give for granted. And when we take perspective, sometimes it's easier to understand how privileged we are, what you were saying, right? You were born in Finland, I was born in Argentina, and even though those countries can be very separate apart, we share a lot about the privilege that we have by growing up, probably, in different ways. I mean, each of us has their own stories, but I'm sure that the fact that we are able to care for our own well-being is because we have other soil met already, other needs that were basic needs that are already met in order for us to keep thinking on how we can spread well-being for ourselves and for others.
So what do you think of all these areas that you mentioned, which one tends to be most neglected?
I think it really depends on the person and the context that they live in. So I wouldn't settle in a individual aspect of well-being, but also in the collective aspect of well-being. And it will change a lot from communities to communities, from one country to another, from one neighborhood to another. So, and within that, we can also focus on the individual levels about well-being. So one thing that is very neglected usually is like emotional well-being, because emotional intelligence has been really not as talked as needed in my perspective. That's why I focus a lot on emotional intelligence as well, because I think that probably when you, and one question, when you were growing up in Finland, did you have emotional education in your school?
No, zero. At least that I know of, that I like noticed that, okay, now we're talking about this topic. No,
Okay.
not that I can recall of.
Okay.
No.
And from South America, we always look up to Finnish education systems, right? Thinking that they're perfect. Yeah, and they do everything good, right? So financial well-being, since you were growing up, probably emotional education, nutritional education, so many education that is lacking the education systems right now.
Yeah.
So we thought of that from Finnish, and probably in some schools in Finland they do have it, because there's proof about that, and there's case studies about it also. But in my school, we also never learned about emotional intelligence, and somehow that's something you learn while you experience the social interactions. But within that, I mean, many things can happen. I mean, we're not prepared to deal with rejection, frustration, anger, fear, because somehow with our parents, probably most likely you or myself, they weren't taught as well about emotional education. And most likely they weren't allowed to show emotions, because either it will be too feminine for the men to show them, or either will be too vulnerable even for the women to show that.
Yeah.
So it's a whole structural, systemic problem that we are facing. And nowadays, since the last, I would say, 20 years, it has changed a little bit about the emotional awareness that we have, the possibility to express their emotions. Some schools also, and some countries also pursuing about emotional education further up. And within that, I think the emotional well-being will be a little bit taken care more and more within the next decades, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. I don't even know how it is nowadays in Finland, obviously, since it was quite a few years when I was at school. But yeah, I really hope so. But if it's not being taken care of at schools, how can it be taken care of then at workplaces? How to fix that? Because you do that, don't you?
I do. And there's something that we all adults need to take care about ourselves. We cannot blame our systems anymore. We need to make responsible for our own actions. And when we are working within teams, when we are working in organizations, NGOs, public or private, it doesn't matter. We're always working with people, or for others, right?
Yeah.
And within that, if we don't have enough empathy, if we don't have enough social skills, if we lack about the motivation to do what we do, then it's more likely that we are not going to find any satisfaction. We're not going to thrive in our work. So there's a lot about this realization that, okay, now as adults, we need to learn to do things differently. And when we are collaborating, working in a team, then those problems, if we haven't addressed them individually and we're not emotionally mature enough, then those problems will occur in the workplace. And that's something that creates a really bad environment for the purpose of the organization. So imagine if for every meeting, then you have a discussion. For every team agreement, then you need to be working with egos that they don't know how. So what's your laughter about? You've been through that, right?
Maybe. Yes. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's so true. I mean, happens a lot that people don't want to develop that area in themselves, and the ego tells that I'm already perfect the way I am, so I can just treat people the way I've always treated them, and then there's not that much development in that area. Yeah, for sure.
So if we think of an organization that wants to develop, that wants to pursue their goals, that wants to pursue their business as they are meant to be, then the people will need to follow and pursue those actions together in a collective, in collaboration. So if we don't learn how to collaborate, then it's much more difficult to achieve those goals. And one of the things that for me is very crucial in terms of well-being is understanding what is the phase of the organization, in which moment that organization is. We cannot bring a solution equally for each organization. So each organization will have their own needs, basically their own context, and within that context we can analyze, okay, what will it help this organization to pursue their goals, to make the people they work in more satisfied about their jobs, basically. How many times have we listened about burnout? I mean, imagine your friends, my friends.
Oh my gosh. Yes, nearly me as well. Like a few years ago, I nearly actually, but I never say that I went through burnout, because I knew how to stop like early enough and be like, okay, I'm working too much, I'm under too much pressure, the financial situation of the company was not good, and all that. But yes, I have several friends who've needed to like leave their jobs and be on sick leave for months because of burnout. It's really heavy, and it's like how common it really is in the modern work culture. It's like alarming. Yeah, totally.
It is alarming, and the fact that we are normalizing, even like, probably if you're hearing or listening or seeing this video, then you may find yourself questioning about your own friends or your own stories about burnout, and you might find that it's much more common than it should be, really. When we get into an organization, it's because we want to add value to what we're doing. If we add value for that purpose, then we're going to feel much better with ourselves, feel much more satisfied, feel much more fulfilled in life. And when organizations don't take care of those teams, of those individuals, of that collective of humans that they're building their goals for them, then it creates this insatisfaction that then can create difficulties into the team, a lot of conflicts in between colleagues. Then it can create sick leave, as you were saying, like people that are not okay to work even more. And of course, if we think about how that affects not only that human that is really affected for what's happening to him or her, but also the organization itself.
Yeah.
How much money they're losing for not taking care of those individuals, because you need to bring another one who is going to do that work. You're going to need to onboard that person. You're going to need to train that person in order to pursue that work or those goals.
Yeah. So how can we prevent burnout? Like, what's the secret? How to not burn out then?
All right, check this out. Recipe 1, 2, 3. No, seriously, I'm not able to say one thing to prevent burnout. It will take us a long time. I think we already addressed how we can prevent it if we take care about these different areas on well-being. And we're all adults. We need to try to seek for ourselves, like in our community. Right nowadays, there's a lot of possibilities to enable either mental health or financial advising, or there's a lot of ways that we can train ourselves or try to develop our areas in order to make that well-being happening for us. But also, I would say it's a duty from the governments, it's a duty from the society itself, and it's a duty from the organizations. It's their duty also to provide the safe environments in order for us to feel safe, in order for workers to feel safe in that context. So it's a very complex theme, but what I like in what I do and that I really love that is that we make it easy. That we make it possible in an easy way by understanding what are they missing the first, what is their urgency about, and we start working on those areas in order to make the situation feel better.
Yeah, because it cannot really be just the responsibility of that one person who's burning out, but isn't it more like an organizational structure that creates the burnout?
Yes.
Yeah, it's tricky because then what we tend to do, especially, I have to say, I think especially women, might be that I'm wrong, but we tend to blame ourselves. And we tend to be like, okay, it's just me who's not enough. I need to work harder. I need to work more hours. I can handle more. I'll just take another new responsibility because I'm not going to burn out. This cannot happen to me. And then it turns out that actually it can happen to anyone. And then if the organization doesn't know how to handle it, it might end up in something very severe, like life-changing moments. Also for the good, obviously, because then I feel like, I'm not speaking from my own experience, but it can be like a turning point in one's life, for sure.
I met so many people that after a burnout, they decided to pursue something different, that is more fulfilling for them. But at the same time, I'm certain that those people wouldn't need that in order to feel better with themselves. We need to be able to care about our systems in a whole, in contextual way. So people from burnout, they're not to blame. I mean, it's a whole system that brings us through here. So when organization, we are only, in some organizations, they are only focused in productivity. And only focusing that without taking care about what's going on with the teams that are doing that. What is the possibility that we're allowing those workers to bring value for? When are we listening to them? When are we using their full capabilities in order for them to feel satisfied with their job? So there, and what you were saying about women also, forgive me for my understanding as a man, which I don't have fully understanding, but I think there's a whole, structural systemic problem. So it's not only about because the women feel like this, but it's like we all enable that to happen, and we are all responsible for that to happen. And if you think about how many years ago the women started to take leadership responsibilities within organizations, it's pretty new. I mean, of course, there were women that were paving the road since many, many, many years ago, right? And if we go to ancestral communities, of course, the women were leading those communities with a lot of courage and with a lot of leadership skills themselves too. But if we think in the workplace, as we know it right now, in leadership positions, still we lack a lot of women opportunities right there. And we're still commanded for many, patriarchal point of view, I would say.
Yeah. I wonder how to fix that. Because it's a topic. I mean, it's been a topic for 15 years, 25 years, maybe even, how to have more women there, and also how to promote a softer world, work culture and softer values, a bit like what you mentioned before as well. But years go by and I'm not sure if this is changing. I don't know, I've been an entrepreneur for 5-ish years now, so 2 years then employee and then now again entrepreneur, so I don't really know how it is in teams nowadays, but I don't know if it has really changed during these years.
Well, we live in a world that is very polarized, so we know how some organizations are making the change and some others are definitely not. And we need to accept what's going on in reality. So what I'm seeing is that there are even more and more people in HR roles, mostly led by women, that understand that how much they need to care about their people in order for them not to burnout, go to burnout.
And to thrive instead. Yeah.
And feel satisfied with their job, which should be very simple, right? We all need to feel satisfied, not even thrive, satisfied. Imagine how much goals we could reach if we really feel motivated from what we're doing. And I understand that it's something that sometimes feel very far away of reaching that goal. To be honest, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how it's going to compare to 10 years ago. But what I feel by working as an external consultant for the area is that within the years, more and more organizations are bringing the topic. For example, companies from like Deloitte, SAP, are bringing this key role in their areas that is called the Chief Wellbeing Officer. So there's a specific role for HR to take care about the well-being of the employees. So it's a whole new role that some companies at least are addressing.
Yeah.
So there's also organizations that are pursuing investigations in happiness, for example, in happiness within organizations. So there's a lot of research going on, and it's backing up that we need to move that way if we want to provide people for better, secure spaces of work.
And do you also do that with BWell Lab? Like, do you give like consultations to companies on this particular topic?
Yes.
And trainings as well?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's really good.
So we basically focus on understanding what they need by doing a diagnosis that could be in many different ways according to the possibilities of the organization. Because when we're talking about diagnose, sometimes it brings some extra cost, yes, if we want to really go deeper on those areas. And if we are talking about the diagnose that we can do by ourselves without using platforms or expensive outsourcing aspects, then we can really understand also like how is that organization doing within the well-being of their employees. And after knowing that, then it's like, okay, what do we need to do? And most likely what we found already with the organization that we work is that there's something that needs to be trained in order for people to learn, because we're never going to go and give a masterclass about well-being, and well-being is this and that, it's about the harmony, it's about satisfaction, it's about the equilibrium of mind, body. We're not going to do specifically a masterclass. We're going to train people on how they can improve their well-being individually, collectively, and figuring out which are the values of the organization that are going to ground that and that are going to enable those daily habits or daily actions within the organizational tasks in order to pursue a collective well-being. So it's a lot of work to do and a lot of possibilities in that aspect, but we can start with what is possible. And each organization has a turning point, a starting point.
I'm still thinking about the organizations who refuse to do that and how to change that. It's like, yeah, because it's not easy. Change something that you've been doing one way forever, and then all of a sudden be like, actually, this is important. And if it doesn't have like the money value right away, and you cannot like show like, okay, this will get our revenue up 30%, then it's like, okay, why would we do that? Unfortunately, I feel like that's the reality for many companies.
Yeah, that's why it's very much needed the people who believes in that, because they've been through and they know the research going on. So those are the people who are going to enable these opportunities, because they will see the value. They will see like how much money we are losing if every employee decides to leave this company because they're not engaged, the leaders suck basically, and they cannot fulfill their professional dreams in this organization. They're not taken in consideration as a human. They're not able to go to the baptism of their children. So this kind of humanity that needs to be brought within the organizations, that's something that is not only the responsibility for the HR role, but it's also the responsibility for the managing director as well, but also from all of us.
Yes.
We all have a role there. And if we as colleagues enable more collaboration, if we as colleagues arrive with a smile in our face, that can change a lot our day. And that's something that we all have a possibility to build from there. It's not going to be enough, of course, if the organization doesn't take care about other structural problems and doesn't organize the areas that needs to be building as a chain, you know, like all together to pursue that goal. But it needs to happen. It needs to start.
What do you think of the new trend of companies going on retreats and being in the nature and just like connecting there? Do you think it can create value, or do you think that's just superficial and it's not actually fixing the real problem?
I do think it creates big value. I love it. Let's go on one. Yes.
You could host one here, actually.
Yeah, actually, this is a magical place for hosting those retreats. Yeah. So I do believe it adds value, but somehow I've been talking with colleagues that from their companies, those kind of retreats are promoted, but just to go and have fun. Just getting drunk, get wasted, get relaxed for a couple of days, and then when you go back, then it's all the same. So what we try to do, because we offer retreats as well.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
And experiences for teams actually is like, okay, yes, we all need to decompress from the office. We all need to make another routine for ourselves, but let's create a community. Let's create alignment of values. Let's reconfigure ourselves, like why are we doing what we are doing and how do we need to improve that? So there's many ways that we can build those retreats in a purposeful way to really help those teams in order to reconnect in another way.
Yeah.
When we were able to do that for some organization that I've been collaborating with, we were able to see the value of that, because it's basically when you do a team building, that's the value of it. That is not only like, okay, let's cook all together and have fun for a night. It's about what happens when we cook together. What are the values that we are putting? And yes, we will have fun. It's not going to be always like deep dive emotionally deep. We can have fun, and it is very essential to have fun while learning, right? But we can also include the values of the organization there. We can also include what are the goals of the organization, and to address the challenges as adults that we all want to pursue to work better, basically together.
So basically, in order to do this kind of like company retreat well, you need to build community so that people connect deeper. You need to not get wasted. No, but have some sort of workshops where they also get to talk about the, I don't know,
challenges
and issues that they might have. Yeah. And then would the third be surrounded by the nature? Or what would you think? What would the third?
I think that when you take people away from their regular offices, things change and they can see with a different perspective. It happens, imagine when you went to Colombia, for example. Was a full new, I mean, you don't need to Colombia in a team retreat, right?
No,
but imagine when you go out of your comfort zone, when you go out and explore something different, then your whole perspective changes. Absolutely. And the atmosphere, you can feel how the energy, the mood of the others may be affected for those spaces, for those walking bare feet in the grass, or having a sunset in the mountains or by the beach side. So it definitely changes the atmosphere. I understand also that it's not possible for every organization. Yeah. That's why we create very catered possibilities for all of them.
Can you give a few examples on what kind of retreats you do?
Yes. So for example, there's this retreat that we have given to a fellow co-workers that they were in a co-living space, and they were building mostly well-being aspects, right? So of course we had a lot of team building activities that we engage with community building. We get to know each other in a different way. We cook together and we go to nature and activities together. But we also build on what is important in that topic, like how can we enhance well-being for ourselves? What are the responsibilities that we can see in ourselves? What are the possibilities that we can bring into real life? And what are those other things that they are out of our sight right now, that we cannot do nothing about it, but it's more into the systemic way. And that's frustrating. But when we can address that as something that, okay, I see it, is there, it frustrates me, but then I can see how I can cope with that better by building a system within myself, within my community, within my collective of co-workers that will help me go through that challenge. So that's an example about focusing on well-being, but there's some other retreats that we have done that were more oriented for business development, for example. So when we need to do mastermind activities and to do social innovation encounters that help them realize about what are the problems or challenges that they are seeing in the organization, then they need to work on. So it depends on what are the interests of the organization and what can we provide as a solution. So it can be more of a conflict resolution or understanding the situation where they are, or analyzing different stakeholders and how they can cooperate better or collaborate better, or if it has to do with cohesion between the teams. So there are different possibilities. And there's not something that we'll say like, yes, this is for you, buy it all, but we like to do catered solutions.
Okay, to wrap up a little bit, what do you think, what are your like key cornerstones of well-being personally?
Personally, I always practice yoga every day at the mornings. It's the way that I can really recover myself from the sleep and probably bring my muscles to life again because they were like so constrained, you know, after you wake up. And
I love it. Recover from sleep.
Yeah,
Nice.
true.
Yeah.
In my body, in my cells, they are like so like this. And then after doing yoga, it's like I feel ready to move on and to start my day. Also, I understood that how being in a community that is taking care also of my relational aspect, that I feel comfortable with, that I feel safe with, and that I'm growing together with. So even though if it's the community that I can seek, for example, in PAS Rural Coliving, or if it's the communities that I can find in my family, or if it's the community that I can find through my friends. So it depending what you need and how is the possibility that you can interact with those relational aspects that will enable my well-being. So that's a cornerstone too. But I would also like to address that is the peace of mind. That is like when you're in harmony of what you're, that it has to do a lot about spiritual well-being, for example, that it connects me with my purpose, but it also has to do with emotional and mental well-being that is connected to my peace of mind and how I'm at ease of what I'm building, of at ease that even though there's a lot of challenge in my entrepreneurial path, a lot of challenges, but
We all do.
yes, of course. But then I'm very at peace in my mind that I am in the right way. I know it works. I know how people can be helped by our intervention as a team. I know this is the kind of life that I want to be, being at service of others, being helpful for others, and bringing something meaningful that really makes a lot of transformational work for others. So that's something that really helps me to move forward and keep working on this.
Nice. Well, I think we need need to wrap up now. Would you like to tell them how we can find you, Tomás?
Yes, you can find me in Instagram, tomasnores.psicólogo, or LinkedIn, Tomás Nores, or BWell-lab.net in the website, or basically BWell.lab.global in Instagram as well. So I don't know, I think if you put B, only the letter B, and well and lab, that will appear.
Perfect. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Emi.
Thank
you
you
for
so
this
much.
conversation. It was very nice to have this talk to you, and hopefully people will feel, I don't know, that you can take something out of this podcast or this video, however way that you see or listen to this, that you can feel related in some aspects and moved on to pursue your well-being, hopefully.